Hello and welcome. In this presentation, I'll be talking about process decision patterns. In particular, we'll look at the decision patterns that are relevant for service processes and those that are more consistent with manufacturing operations. Looking at service processes, we want to understand the kind of process choices that firms make and how they are linked with the competitive priority that they have. So, if we look at our understanding of process strategy, we know that we can distinguish processes within service settings into front office and back office. And the idea is that front office is that segment within the service delivery process which basically emphasize on top quality and customization. So whether it's the bank, whether it's the grocery chain, whether it's any of the other service organizations we can think of, they would have a way in which they would distinguish the set of activities that would be more consistent with the front office sort of processes. And their focus will be on providing the best possible quality and customization, which then will have implications on the way they will create a layout for their processes, the amount of customer involvement that will be there. Clearly, in a front office, you would expect a lot more customer involvement than a back office. The amount of flexibility that the resources should have, and how much capital intensity should be there in front office. Likewise, if the emphasis is on low cost, on consistent quality, and on time delivery, then the service processes have to be structured in the form of a back office. The amount of customer involvement will likewise be reduced. Resource flexibility will be somewhat lesser than what we would see in front office, and the capital intensity also might be very different in terms of how it would be structured so that the back office can do its work more properly. So essentially, we see that there's a connection between competitive priorities and the way you would create a process strategy for achieving that particular competitive priority. So service organizations have to delve into different aspects of process strategy decisions, whether it is the structure, whether it's the customer involvement, resource flexibility, and capital intensity, depending upon what exactly their emphasis is and how much they should be emphasizing on the front office aspect of their processes and how much they should be emphasizing on the back office aspects of their processes. Likewise, in the manufacturing processes, also you can create a linkage between competitive priorities and process choices. So, for example, an organization which has top quality, on time delivery, and flexibility as its competitive priority, they should be thinking about process choice that would be more consistent with what we would call a job process or a small batch process. Because in these kinds of organizations, you will be able to provide the necessary process divergence. You could also potentially involve customers as needed. So, once again, all those process strategy decisions that we just talked about, whether it's the layout, customer involvement, resource flexibility, or capital intensity, they can be more consistent with what the competitive priority demands. On the other hand, if the competitive priority is that of low cost operations, of consistent quality, not top quality, but consistently the same quality, and delivery speed, then the process choice should be one which is more in terms of large batch process or line process or continuous flow process, because those are the kinds of processes which fit more closely with the competitive priorities of low cost, consistent quality, and delivery speed. So that linkage between competitive priorities and process choice is a very important one, which organizational leaders should always keep in mind and decide what is it that they are trying to offer and what is the kind of process that can help them achieve that. Now, we can also think about it in manufacturing context in terms of these competitive priorities and their implications on production and inventory strategy. Because along with the process choice, organizations have also to think about how they would structure or create a strategy for their production and the way they will create a strategy for their inventory management. So if, for example, an organization has its competitive priority as that of top quality, customization, and variety, then the production and inventory strategy should be geared towards offering design to order kind of environment. In other words, you should be able to let the customer even provide design specifications, and then you would create the product based on that design specification. So the customer has a lot more involvement in the process, all the way down to the kind of raw materials you will be getting, the kind of design that you would have. That's why you have organizations which are completely focused on these designer wares in terms of fashion goods, or if it's Rolls Royce, many times you have cars which are designed to order based on what the customer specifications might be. Now, if we were to have top quality on-time delivery and flexibility as our key competitive priorities, we would still have an environment where customers will be involved, but you don't necessarily want to involve customers in the design specifications. Also, in these situations, what you're doing is you still want to provide them on-time delivery. So you want to be able to take advantage of some of standardization that can exist. You also want to provide them flexibility. And there you want to make to order some standardization in terms of raw materials. The design is there, some potential configurations are available that the customer can choose. And still the customer is going quite deep into the overall processes, but not as deep as even providing the design specifications like we had discussed earlier. The third kind of situation could be where the focus is on delivery speed and still be able to provide variety. And here what we are trying to do is create an environment which is more like an assemble to order production and inventory strategy. So you have all these different offerings, different modules that are there, and you can assemble them in different ways. You can mix and match them in different ways. And there will be a perception of high variety that you can actually offer because of this combinatorial combinations that you can create with these different modules. But the environment that you're focusing on is one where customers are involved, but their involvement is more in terms of picking and choosing the different modules that you have potentially standardized within the company. And then you assemble them together based on the final requirement that the customer has. And this allows you to provide high delivery speed and still provide the required variety that customers are demanding. And finally, if your focus or your competitive priority is that on low cost operations, on delivery speed, then you are striving for a make to stock kind of environment. And here, essentially what you're trying to do is create economies of scale, and hence you want to ensure that all your production and inventory related strategies are geared towards being able to reduce the cost and increase the delivery speed to the customer. So you create lots of products, hence gain economies of scale in production. You then store these inventories at places where it can then be able to reach the customers as and when the customer wants. And that is the way a make to stock environment would work and help achieve the low cost operation and delivery speed. So overall, we see that these process strategy decisions and the process choice which companies would make has to be closely linked with their competitive priorities. And this pattern of decision is very important to keep in mind at the top of the organization, and then every executional activities that happen at the process level. Thank you.